So you've been sitting around your house, maybe pantsless, talking on Zoom calls, shooting videos, trying to figure out how to make that video look a little bit better. I'm gonna show you how to do it just from your iPhone and have a professional looking video so you can keep your clients and potential clients up to date with what's going on. Let's go check it out. What's up guys, my name's Ryan Weber and maybe I have pants on, maybe I don't. You don't know right now. I'm here to help business owners just like yourself figure out how to better market their business digitally. And if you're interested in that kind of thing, consider subscribing. Today we're gonna talk about DIY video. How can you create video for yourself at your house? You're probably stuck at home right now figuring out what you can do to try and move the needle. Don't sulk, it's time to create. So let's go ahead and get into it and we'll figure out how we can improve those videos. We're talking about iPhone today because that's all I know, but we're gonna figure out how we can shoot videos on iPhone, make them look nice and professional so you can start distributing them to your potential clients and your clients to keep everybody up to date with what your business does and how you can help them. So step number one when recording any video, it's making a plan. I have a plan just written out here in my notes. It's just a simple outline to make sure I know I cover everything that I want to cover. I know kind of the outline or the format of what this video is going to be. That way I don't go off all over the place. I usually do if I don't have an outline. So I like to at least outline my key points so I know what direction I need to continue going. With a video outline, you want to make sure it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Typically the beginning, I like to hook my audience. Usually if it's an educational video, it's by having some sort of problem that they're going through and letting them know I am going to answer that problem. So in the beginning, we hook them. In the middle, we then move into kind of the meat and potatoes. I like to do like a step-by-step or a how-to, more of a tutorial. And then at the end, you want to make sure that you finish with some sort of call to action and letting them know who you are and what you want them to do next. And then also, you get phone calls from your wife in the middle of videos. Alrighty, so number two for shooting videos on your iPhone, and that's looking at the actual phone settings. So when we're shooting on our phone, there's a couple settings that we want to do and a couple things that we want to remember to have the best quality on your videos. So the first thing you want to do when you're recording videos, especially, you've got to figure out where the distribution is going to be. If you're going to do it for a website, for Facebook, for YouTube, you want to make sure that your phone is turned horizontally. If you're only doing it for Instagram stories, you can keep it vertical, but really horizontally is gonna allow that video to be displayed the best for what that platform is. The next thing up here in this upper left corner, I have the iPhone 11. I'm pretty sure the other iPhones do it. You might just have to go into your settings. But up in this upper left corner, you can click and change, it's called your frames per second. You wanna go with 24 frames per second because that's what the most natural looking video is. It's nice and smooth, you have a little motion blur, it's what videos look like in the movie theaters. The next thing, if you've got 4K, you might as well use it. And 4K just has a better, cleaner looking image, especially on these iPhones. The next thing you wanna make sure you remember, turn that phone around and use this camera. The cameras in selfie mode are fine, but this camera is much higher quality, so you want to make sure that you're shooting having the camera face this way rather than looking at the camera like this. And also, when you have the selfie mode, you generally look at yourself, but the camera's actually over here, and you can kind of see that your eyes aren't in the right spot. So I always say, turn that camera around, get it set up, and then just look right at the lens. Another thing before you shoot, wipe that lens off. You know, you've got some nasty fingers. You know, you want to make sure that that lens is nice and clean so it's a clear image. A couple other things when you're shooting on your iPhone, make sure you set it up on a tripod. Don't have somebody hold it. If you don't have a tripod, you can use a table and some books. You know, I've got my coffee here. We can literally set our phone up like this and it's gonna stay stationary. We don't wanna have it moving all over the place. We wanna make sure that it looks nice and clean. If you're looking for a tripod or a tripod mount, there's plenty of tripods out there. I really like this mount. It's metal. It's called a Wuhoto. There we go, Wuhoto. But it slides up here. It holds onto your phone. You can also rotate it so it can shoot vertically or horizontally. And it also has what's called a hot shoe mount. So if you had any lights you wanted to mount on the top of that, microphones that you want to mount on the top, you have a spot for that. So I really like this one. I think it's like $35 on Amazon. And then the very last thing when you're shooting on your phone, there's a thing called a 3x3 grid, and I like to have that turned on. So you probably can't see it, but there's a grid lines. So there's 3x3 grid lines, and there's 3 spots that you can be standing on this video. You can be in the direct middle, and you want your eyes on the top grid line. You could be over on the right or left side, and then you want your eyes basically separating that cross on that opposite grid line. I'll try and put up some things on this to show, like, I'm in the middle. There should be a line right here. If I wanted to come over to this side, I'd be right here. And that way I could have, there we go, text over here. And then if I was over here, I'm good right there. I could have text on this side if I wanted to put anything up. So those 3x3 grid lines really help center you up and make sure you have enough space above your head, below your head, and it just looks natural. So now that we've got everything planned, we kind of have our camera set up. The next thing is looking where you want to shoot. That's kind of setting up your background. So you want your background to be kind of interesting. You don't want a blank wall. You know, I have a moderately blank wall, but it is shiplap, so it looks a little more interesting. Being outside looks great. Moving, walking around looks great if you've got something to steady your camera. But you want to have some sort of interesting backdrop. You don't want to be having windows back here, because then it's going to be all blown out. You're going to be basically a silhouette and no one's going to actually be able to see you. Think about those backgrounds. You don't want to have, like, you know, kids crying in the background. You want to make sure it's pleasing, but also it looks nice and a little bit of visual interest. The other thing is, you don't want to be standing on your background. You want to make sure you have some separation, some depth. That's what getting that blurry background does. You know, you can separate yourself from that background. It makes it look just a little more pleasing than when you're standing right on top of it. So the next thing you want to do to make sure you look good, now that you figured out where you want to shoot, it's lighting. So sometimes lighting can dictate your background, sometimes your background can dictate your lighting, just depending on where you're going to go. You can have studio lighting. I have a big, expensive light here. I have another light back here. I have 2 windows over here, so I have a lot of light in this room to make sure everything looks really nice. If you don't have that option, you can stand directly in front of a window, and that's gonna make you look really, really nice. The concern is, you know, what's that backdrop look like? I actually use, like, my windowsill to put my camera on, and then I just talk there if I'm just doing something like that. So you do have those options to be able to just use the window. The absolute best looking lighting, in my opinion, on an iPhone is going outside and it's going in the shade. So if you can find a shady spot and then shoot iPhone video, I always think it looks the best. A couple of things to avoid when you're shooting: you don't want to be in harsh light. What that means is no shade. You don't want to be directly in the sunlight. It's really hard to look at. You know, it doesn't make a visually appealing image. So you want to try and get, it's called softer light. That's why we go into the shade. Another thing, like I said earlier, you want to avoid your back to the window unless you have other lighting in front of you. But anytime your back's to the window, your camera's going to pick that up and it's going to make the image a lot darker. And that means you're going to be almost unseeable. And then the other thing a lot of people do is, you know, they just shoot with no light. So avoid no lighting. You know, you want to make sure you have some sort of lighting on your face, whether it be a lamp or a window. You don't want to just sit in the middle of a room and record, because generally it's not as flattering as if you, the subject, is brightened up. The last thing that we want to think about before we press record is the audio. This is actually the most important thing of the video. People will watch a poor quality image if it has really good audio versus really poor audio and a really good image. They're gonna turn off of the good quality image if it just sounds really bad. So I'm actually using a lav mic. I'm in, like, a room with all hard surfaces, hard floor, hard ceiling, hard desk, hard everything, and so it's a huge echo. So I've got to use a lav mic in here. Generally, I like using a shotgun mic on top of my camera, but it just does not work in here. It's just straight echo. So when you're thinking about audio, a couple things to consider. If you're in a room that has super high ceilings, very hard furniture, hardwood floor, it's probably gonna echo really bad. So you've got to either be right up on the camera, or you really should find a different spot. So this is an audio test in my office where there is hard surface everywhere. You should not be recording in here. So this is an audio test from our bedroom where we have furniture, carpet, stuff that's gonna absorb the sound. There should be a lot less echo here. So something else to consider, if you're too far away from your camera, you're gonna have really bad audio, so you've gotta be right close to it if you're gonna use the microphone right out of your camera. An alternative, if you wanna be far away, pop in an earbud and it's gonna sound a whole lot better. And so this is what I consider the best audio. This is outside. There should not be any echo. Just consider dogs barking, birds chirping, people driving by, stuff like that that's gonna alter your audio. But if you're in a nice quiet spot, I always prefer going outside. And now we're ready. We're ready to press record. This is the most important part of the video because it's the actual video. All that stuff that we've kind of set up, it gets you prepared to shoot your video, and now we're ready. So what do we do when we're ready? First thing, press record. You know, you've got to press record. You've got to get started. Don't worry, you're going to feel really awkward talking to a camera, but the more and more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to get with it. Number one, when you press record, I tell every single person this, smile. Before you talk, you need to smile, because if you smile, your audience is gonna kind of see that, and it's gonna portray a little better emotion than if you're just standing like this and not showing any emotion. So smile, show them that you care about them and that you're happy being where you are. The next thing is your energy levels. You need to raise it way, way up. If you just talk like this with no inflection in your voice, nobody wants to watch a video like this for 8 minutes. So you've got to move around. You always see me talking with my hands. You see me kind of raising my eyebrows. You see me smiling, trying to raise and lower my voice. And that's just because when you're talking to a person, you do that and you don't realize that. So think of the camera as a person, and you want to kind of have that movement back and forth to keep the audience's attention. If I didn't move the whole time, you wouldn't pay attention, even if I had all the inflection in my voice whatsoever. So I move around and make sure that you keep your eyes on me and you kind of know what's going on. You don't get distracted, you know, start looking at your phone. I do it all the time in videos. So I want to try and keep your interest to paying attention to what I'm saying. And the last thing with video, this is where a lot of people go wrong, or they're concerned. They don't go wrong. They're concerned about this. This is what people are concerned about. What if I mess up? Well, if you mess up, just stop. Go back a sentence or a word or a couple phrases ago and restart. Pause and then restart. I mess up all the time. You know, we can put in all my little mess ups and screw ups in here that we've cut out. We probably don't have a long enough video for that. So just make sure if you do mess up or screw up or have some sort of issue, just stop, reset, and go back, because in the next video, I'm going to show you how to edit these videos so you can put all of your clips together, make a nice, clean looking professional video, and put it out to your audience. So let me know in the comments, guys, what kind of video are you gonna shoot first? How long is it gonna be? Once again, guys, my name is Ryan Weber, and I wanna make sure I help business owners with their digital marketing, make things a little more comfortable for them. So if you are interested in that, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like, notification bell, all that good stuff to make sure you can get updated when I put out new videos. I'm trying to get a lot more consistent, and that is a big focus of mine for 2020. Guys, I will see you in the next video.